Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the NXT review for the 12th of April 2011. I've actually done a good bit of these up through actually the rest of this season, so I'm backlogged. I got a lot of stuff. Anyway, highlights of Yoshitatsu flirting with Maurice over the last several weeks. Ted DiBiase Jr. coming in and brawling with him. Good news is season 6 stops the goofiness of um, the elimination style of the contest. Bad news is there's about 50 more episodes of that we got to get through before we can get to a more concrete wrestling program. Anyway, Matt Striker and Maurice kind of bring out the talent, including Lucky Cannon, who's trying to do his, I don't know, feathered boa slash big fluffy outfit. Titus O'Neil makes his way out. All of the rookies make their way out, and they do the old punch the carnival game deal here. Boxer strength test, and they do that. Titus O'Neil, the main guy, pushed in the season, and he manages to do pretty well with that rush there. Flirtation between Lucky Cannon and Maurice continues. He basically says he knows how to take care of her, even though Ted DiBiase doesn't, and Yoshitatsu has tried. Basically, that's where we're going, is the tease there. Tatsu tries to get in the way of Lucky Cannon's, putting the Mac on Maurice. Not that Maurice would have taken him seriously. She eventually does like the fact that Tatsu is standing up for her and being fought over. One thing about Maurice, there is, to a degree, I think there is some, I guess, development of a character that obviously stays around for a while. Hornswoggle comes out with his pro, of course, or with his rookie Titus O'Neil. Hornswoggle being in this position is something I had completely forgotten about. And, obviously they go back to showing more of last week's stuff and the biting of the ankle of an opponent for the benefit of O'Neil, and Hornswoggle getting in trouble for that. But needless to say, more Darren Young and Titus O'Neil, which seems to be a never-ending feud. It appears Darren Young makes his way out with Chavo Guerrero Jr., and ultimately Hornswoggle is out there with Titus O'Neil. The continuation, basically, Darren Young says he's going to make, or D. Young says he's going to make Hornswoggle disappear eventually, and the threats are there. Takedowns and basically early heat by benefit of Young and O'Neil. O'Neil gets beat up early. Back elbows, real basic match, nothing to write home about, but it gets the job done for the most part here. Ultimately, some real, like I said, basic things and a couple of clotheslines. Titus O'Neil pretty aggressive throughout the early stages of this match. When he does fire up with power clotheslines and other power-related maneuvers, he does look pretty assertive, and he eventually does see the clear out of the ring as Titus O'Neil gets yet another victory, and he's happy with that. Anyway, so JTG and Kozlov are kind of at each other. Kozlov wearing some sort of sling for reasons that aren't terribly well described here. Needless to say, Novak comes out looking all pimped out in the vein of a JTG, and that obviously, for a white guy who doesn't know much, is an awkward thing. Novak manages to try to rap a little bit, kind of doing the hood thing. Doesn't come off very well, but throws some insults and shade at guys like William Regal. Regal eventually, in the next coming weeks, not too much of a spoiler, but does end up getting in the ring with Novak, and that is there. Yoshitatsu out there with rookie Byron Saxton has not gotten completely tied up with the Maurice thing quite yet, but That's coming as well. Saxton does actually show a bit of wrestling acumen more than he normally does. Russian leg sweep, among other things. Manages to come around with a clothesline and gets into the face of everybody that'll listen. Meanwhile, Regal is certainly happy when Novak, who he does not like by any stretch of the imagination, is on the defensive. Regal, watching on a monitor at ringside, is noting all of the mistakes made by Novak. Novak eventually does take uh, Byron Saxton down with a series of body holds. Saxton tries to come back a little bit, doesn't get all he wants on that. Does get enough, but not everything that he needs, and ultimately Saxton gets kicked up under the chin and a couple of kicks right into the run of things, and ultimately, finally, Novak gets a pinfall victory over Byron Saxton. We go to highlights from Raw, and that takes up a good bit of time, Edge being the main highlight package there. Odd to think that he's 11 years later still a highlight package, and now, or 10 years later, still a highlight package and won again now. Lucky Cannon makes his way out, and Maurice comes out to call the action with the announcers at ringside. They're given about 5 minutes. Yoshitatsu and Lucky Cannon kind of fighting for the honor of Maurice, for lack of better terminology. Super short run there. Cannon uses every cheating bit that he can use. Gets a couple of neck breakers and other basic neck-related holds. Tatsu fights from underneath, but basically takes the majority of the punishment in the very short match that's here. Regal and calls into question Maurice's, I don't know that I'd say morality, but her motives, maybe her drive, her integrities, and that sort of thing. Then we see some cut-offs along the way, and Yoshitatsu comes back with shots and chops into the chest and neck area of Lucky Cannon. Hard shots there, and ultimately there we go. Attempted roll up by Yoshitatsu, and a win for Tatsu. Closing the program, much to the delight of the fans. We'll be back with more right after this.